Hey everybody, welcome back to Boat Fool Sailing. Thanks for tuning in this week, and thanks for tuning in last week. So, when you're a boat fool like me, or a fool for boats like most of you probably are, you always have to be prepared to stop and check out a cool boat that's for sale if you see one. So today, for my day job, I was traveling up to Mount Desert Island, home of Acadia National Park, and I found myself in Northeast Harbor at Able Marine, and I stumbled across a beautiful boat for sale. So, I am without Canadian Ken because I didn't know this was going to happen. So he's not here to snipe at me for my athletic moves or my inability to fit in certain spaces, but I'm going to do my best to show you this really cool boat. It is a 1973 Sparkman & Stevens design Tartan 34C. This was a prolific boat for Tartan. More than 500 of these were made, and this one is for sale for $5,000. That to me is an opportunity, and you might be asking yourself, well, what kind of shape is this boat in if it's 34 feet and the list price is $5,000? I'm going to show you, and I'm going to tell you the pros and cons about her, but I think it's a real opportunity for somebody. First and foremost, she has a universal diesel engine with less than 150 hours on it. She was repowered, and this engine is basically new. It has a brand new alternator. She also has a new mast as of less than 10 years ago, and new standing rigging less than 10 years ago. And she has a full complement of sails that are in good shape, including a spinnaker, and she has a dodger that's also in good shape. So there's a lot to like about this boat. We're going to go through and look at the cons as well. But suffice to say, these boats were prolific for Tartan. They were built for racing and cruising. In fact, they raced in the Marblehead Halifax race, the Newport Bermuda race, the Mac, and in fact, one of these won the Marblehead Halifax race years ago. So they've got a good turn of speed relative to boats their size. She is a centerboard, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. But I'm excited to take a look at this boat. So understand that she's for sale for $5,000, and she's going to require a little TLC. The seller is a marine surveyor. He's gone through the boat, and everything is solid except for what I'm going to show you, which is basically a good clean and some varnishing and scrubbing. So I'm really excited to show you this boat. Let's go take a look. All right, so let's just start right here in the cockpit. A nice big open cockpit, nice high combing boards, very comfortable to sit in, plenty of leg room. But the first thing you're going to notice probably is that the helm station is pretty far forward in this cockpit. The Tartan 34C came with both a wheel and tiller option. This was the wheel option, so this is original to the boat. Your emergency tiller connection is right here, and the one issue that I would see with this helm station being so far forward is that if the Dodger is on, it's going to be a bit of an athletic move to get around your Traveler and down through the companionway. Without it on, piece of cake. The plus of that is when your Dodger is on, the skipper of the boat is going to have be afforded a little bit of protection from the weather with the Dodger up. The Traveler's right in front of the binnacle. Your centerboard control and lift is right on your bridge deck there. I'll show you that in a minute. Your engine instrument cluster is all new when the boat was repowered. And then you have a nice big lazarette here for storage. It's very deep, and I'll show you that. You have two LP canisters in there now, which go in an aft bracket, which I'll also show you for your stove. These two primary winches are new. They're not self-tailing. You do have two secondary winches that are self-tailing, but by and large, a nice cockpit. And a nice little bonus feature is you have a little hatch here to go down into your ice box. So when you need to get a refreshing beverage while you're sailing, it's right there. You don't have to go below. So a lot to like about this. There is an older auto helm situation and setup that I can show you. You've got new throttle control and new shifter as well when the boat was repowered. But by and large, a nice big cockpit. You can see you have several instruments up here. They're older, but they're functioning. You've got a Windex and a depth meter as well. So let's keep going. All right, so going up on deck, first thing I'll point out is you've got jib track on the outside, on the tow rail, and on the inside on the side decks. That gives you options for your jib fairleaves. That's nice. There's the line for your roller furling up at the forestay, and these are nice wide side decks. As Canadian Ken would say, no toe stubbers. But as we mentioned at the opening, standing rigging and turnbuckles are all new within the last 10 years, as is your mast. That is fantastic. That radar is older. I would not use it. You've got the original boom, you've got lazy jacks, and the Tartan 34C came originally with a much longer boom. This is the Mark II with a shorter boom and a higher aspect ratio rig, which is better for light air sailing. So that's nice. So going up onto the bow, you can see you've got your roller furling. You've got a nice CQR anchor here and beautiful bow chocks. You've got some older chain here that I would replace, but pulpit looks great. Your lifelines are that coated plastic. I would replace that with stainless steel. Not a big job. Spinnaker pole, that's a long spinnaker pole. It's got a nice deck cradle. It's fantastic. Right here. Here's your forward hatch. Excuse the noise in the background. This is a working boatyard. You've got some translucent fiberglass here. You've got a solar powered vent, which is nice. And this is some of that sweat equity, elbow grease stuff that I'm talking about. All this teak needs to be sanded and varnished, but there's not a ton of it, which is nice. So here we're looking at our port side deck, tow rail, again, sand, varnish, not a big job. A couple of Dorade boxes, which is nice. More sanding to do, nice ventilation, and then you have a nice hatch over your main cabin here. So all of this really looks nice. The decks feel nice and solid. Again, there is some crazing, not uncommon for a boat of this vintage. So if you want her to be in Bristol shape, you're going to want to probably paint at some point. Not necessary to do. But again, $5,000 for this boat. That is crazy. All right, so here is a good look at the aft bracket for your LP canisters. I would probably reconfigure that and put the canisters down in a lazarette and vent it properly, so you're not looking at those canisters. And here is another aft lazarette, and I can see you've got your emergency tiller down in there, which is nice. All this looks good. You've got a nice transom hung ladder, which is also very nice. And then looking again forward up to the bow. A really nice, easy, simple layout. This boat would be easy to single hand. All right, let's go check out down below. I'm gonna, as I say with Canadian Ken, I'm gonna go spelunking. Here we go. All right, everybody, I'm down below, and this is where the rubber meets the road. First and foremost, I'm going to remind you $5,000 for this boat. Secondly, I'm going to show you that the headroom is actually quite significant. It's reported to be 6'2", and I have plenty of room even over towards the side of the coach roof. So in the galley, plenty of room anywhere in this boat. And that headroom is carried all the way up into the V-berth, which is very nice. So this boat had some water intrusion this past spring. She's been on the hard since November of 2023, and she had some water intrusion into the bilge, and it messed up the cabin sole, which, by the way, is made out of cork, which, by the way, is original to the boat. And so it needs to be replaced. It's not the end of the world. In fact, I'll show you this. You can just take out all this old cork, use it as a template, cut some new cork, and lay it in. But it's a big job. It's not a little job. It will take some effort. But again, remember the asking price. So the boat needs a good scrub down below. I can see that. It's obvious. So just understand we're going into this knowing that she needs some work. All right. So come on down with me. I'm going to show you around. So like I said, there was water intrusion. So the boat has been torn apart a bit because the engine was worked on just recently, and it's all commissioned and ready to go. And here is the cork flooring, which you can see is water damaged. There's no other damage to the boat. There might be some, mildew and that sort of stuff, but some Clorox bleach, rip all this stuff out and redo it. You could have a really sweet boat. So here is the engine. This has already been opened up because they're just getting it all commissioned. Less than 150 hours on it, and a brand new alternator. So this engine is ready to go. New battery switch. All of this is new, and all the wiring below waterline is new. The fuel tank, which goes over here under the port settee, has been removed and pressure tested. The fuel tank is good, is going to be put back in the boat. All the cushions are available. They're not here on the boat right now, but there are a couple up on the V-berth, so you can get a sense of the fabric. But the woodwork down below needs some attending to. And that's part of that elbow grease and sweat equity that we're talking about. It's not rotten, it's not too far gone, it just needs some love and attention. And you can see that all the way around here. But in other good news, you've got a nice gimbaled LP oven and stove, and it's all functioning. Access to your ice box that you can also access from the cockpit that we showed you is right there. So I turn the light on for you. So that is your ice chest in there, and there is a drain, and you can access that from the cockpit or from here in the galley. But not bad. And then you've got storage under here, I presume. Probably comes with that pot. But yeah, all dry storage down here. All that is great. And so now I'm standing at the base of the companionway looking forward. That is your engine cover here that goes over the engine. And obviously this engine access is superior. Some people don't like it down in your main living area, but when it's covered up, you don't see it. Acts as a seat, but access to it to work on it is phenomenal. It's low, it's down in your bilge, it's got a low center of gravity. Fantastic. You also have a little stove here, and this is not diesel. You would put briquettes in there or little pieces of wood. But moving aft, you've got a port quarter berth back here with great access to your quadrant and storage back there. So all that is good. So that's a good quarter berth there. Not much of a nav station. There's your older radar, so just ignore that. But there you have it. So again, you've got an older VHF and a stereo. And then nice storage along your, above your settees there. You've got a drop leaf table and more storage over here on starboard. I'm not sure how these function. There we go. They're just pressure. So there's more storage in there. And there's a speaker for your stereo. These just close like that. Easy peasy. Maybe. Oh, I got to close this one first. There you go. All right, so moving forward, we've got your head here. And it is a dual door head, so you've got access through the V-berth as well. But this needs some work. I would rip everything out of here and clean it up, recut some flooring, scrub everything, get some air movement through here, and, you know, start fresh. But here's a look at your keel step mast. And runs right up through there, so it's nice and hidden in your head here, but plenty of headroom in here, excuse the pun. And here we are looking aft. But that head needs a good scrub, and you'll be all set. It does have a holding tank. She holds about 40 gallons of water and about 30 gallons of diesel, I do believe. So here we are up in the V-berth, and here's a look at your fabric, which is all serviceable and fine. This looks like it might be your mainsail cover. Here's one of your sails, but plenty of room up here, I have to say, and nice with the hatch. All right, well, as Captain Q has taught us, we're gonna just check this out because we gotta know if we fit up here, right? So, look at that. Plenty of room up here, tons of room, and nice light, has a nice feel to it. By the way, I should mention, even though there was water intrusions, there's no smell in this boat whatsoever. It smells absolutely fine. So there's no weird odor, no funk. Canadian Ken always likes to point that out. But up here, further in the V-berth, you have access to your anchor locker. Pretty nice. I'm looking in a hanging locker here, and all the tabbing looks really good. So that's great. And again, some really neat features to this boat, not the least of which is you have fittings here for a lee board, which would run from here back to there. Plus, the cutout for your feet on the starboard settee. And the port one is a full length one for sure. But overall, honestly, with a good couple days of cleaning and replacing the cabin sole, you would be in pretty good shape. All the issues that occurred with the moisture intrusion in terms of the electrical and mechanicals have been addressed, so it's really just cosmetic at this point. All right, so that's it for down below. Obviously she needs some work. Obviously she's priced to sell. Let's go down below on the hard and look at the keel and rudder. All right, here we are down on the ground looking at the topsides and hull, and I can tell you that from back here, you get a good sense of her beautiful and graceful lines. It's a nice subtle shear, nice coach roof. Everything about it is very attractive and classic looking, hence the 34C. Now, the top sides have some rub marks here. That looks like it's from the travel lift or some bumpers, probably buff out. But I would say that at some point you're going to want to paint the top sides. It's got a nice molded in cove stripe up here. We'll paint that as well, and she would clean right up. Below the waterline looks fantastic. I don't see any evidence of blistering or imperfections of any kind. And from back here, you're kind of thinking it looks like a full keel, but it really is a shoal draft keel with a brewer bite out of the back here, and that is the centerboard trunk. And here's your 3-bladed prop, much like the Bristol 33 and the Yankee 30 coming out of the aft end of the keel. Kind of cool. But the coolest part really is the protected rudder, which is hung off the back of this skeg here, and the bearing has been replaced. So all of that is functioning as it should and in perfect working order. So a nice looking below waterline boat. I love the classic look to that. Here's the transom. Her name is Peregrine. Moving over to the port side, you also have a couple of rub marks. And again, at some point you'll want to paint her, but you could put this in the water tomorrow and sail away. She's that ready to go. And again, for that price, I just think it's a great, great deal. So from back here, again, I love that coach roof. I love the subtle shear, and I love that Sparkman & Stevens design. All right, everybody, let's wrap this up. Thank you so much for coming along with me today. It's been a little bit unusual not having Canadian Ken help me, but it's been a lot of fun. So we're going to put the seller's contact information in the description below the video. And I really think this is an opportunity for somebody who's looking for a low barrier to entry, $5,000. You could go sailing tomorrow with this boat. The systems are functioning and running as they should be. And I just think it's a really cool boat. The Tartan 34C is a classic. She's beautiful, great turn of speed. Her length overall is 34 feet. Length on water is 25. Her beam is just wider than 10 feet. Her draft with the centerboard up is under 4, and with the board down, it is over 8 feet. So she's gonna be a demon upwind. Now, a point about the centerboard. The pin has been replaced, so all that is functioning as it should. No worries there. So a really great boat, a nice stiff boat. She's about 45. She's a heavy displacement at 320. Her comfort ratio is just about 30, and you're just gonna have a ball with this boat. And I really think that with a little effort and a little elbow grease, you can have a really beautiful, beautiful boat on your hands. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for clicking like and sharing. If you want to support us on Patreon, please do so. We really appreciate all the support we've received, and we'll see you next time.